Hey guys, we're back for another episode today. And today I have sitting with me is Cendrine. She is a holistic trauma-informed health consultant who helps complex trauma survivors build lasting resilience and reconnect with their well-being. She is the founder of Pursuing Wholesome Health and has guided her clients through her signature program on emotional healing, heart-centered resilience, and nervous system care. She's a passionate speaker and writer. She shared her journey and expertise on various wellness platforms and is a contributing writer for an e-magazine on the power of holistic healing and trauma-informed self-care. In her fun time and downtime, you'll see that she's a lifelong learner, constantly reading books, not just for education, but also for fun. She loves her fiction books. She loves food, and she has two amazing cats. So, Cendrine, thank you so much for being here today. Tell us a little bit more. Just tell us about you. What do you do? What brings you here? And how can we support you and love you?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to this. And for those of you who are hearing a little accent, I'll start there. I was born and raised in Switzerland. And so that's the little accent that you're hearing. And but I've been in the States for almost 30 years now. So it's almost like I have reverse culture shock when I go back. I gosh, yeah, where to start? I connected with you because we have a common passion of healing from trauma and helping others heal from trauma. So that is kind of what has informed my work. I was a teacher before this, and life circumstances have just kind of brought the one to the end, but I'm still using teaching, just different subject matter now. And yeah, I'm just constantly learning more about trauma recovery by testing it on myself because I'm just a notorious self guinea pig is what I am. I always try things and constantly interested in just figuring out more ways to rise and shine and let life be a constant like lifting me up to the next level.
Yep. Yep. I'm totally with you. I'm like, as soon as you said self guinea pig, I was like, that's me. That's what
Yeah.
brought me here too.
Yep.
Testing all these things on myself.
It's
So
how
tell
you
us,
learn.
yeah, it's how you learn, and then it's
Yeah,
how you can educate other people as well. So I love that you were a
exactly.
teacher.
Yeah.
What were some of the subjects that you taught?
Well, my favorite ones were definitely art and history, but I was K through 12, so I was able to do all of the subjects, but my least favorites were probably math and physics.
I feel you on that. Like numbers. Come on, man. Who created
Which
this?
is funny because I love science because of how it relates to trauma recovery, but the like nitty-gritty school stuff,
Yeah.
not so much.
Yeah. No, when it comes to numbers, but when it comes to the body, like cool.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, like I
Yep.
got that. I understand the
Yeah.
science part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so tell us a little bit more about what you do in your business.
Yeah, I work mostly one-on-one with clients, and I usually really adjust to however they come in any given day because I could even I could, project a journey when I meet with them at first and say, okay, we could do this structured thing. But then that's if they come in and don't know where to start. But usually they'll come in with something, whether it's like a coping mechanism that they're like, yeah, this is connected to something because willpower has not been able to fix this. Or they'll come with a trigger that just happened and they recognize I overreacted. There's more here than just the issue at hand. And then we go deep. Then we go and follow through on those things by kind of going from the head to the heart. I love balancing right and left brain because it's like so most clients that come to me, they have found safety in logic. And so a lot of the times people try to like drag them into emotion, but they're not quite ready because logic is safe. And so I love to gauge it by how ready they are. Like I'm happy to hang out in logic with you until you're ready. There's no shame there. I'm a logic survivor myself. And so it's just fun to kind of constantly be adapting to where they're at in the tuning to what they're ready for. And so sometimes we might start with a somatic experiencing kind of thing. When they can't connect to an emotion, we'll just kind of go to the body. And if they're not connected to their body, we'll do something logic and trace it down to wherever a belief might be manifesting, and all of a sudden the emotions show up. And then we can show up there with compassion and validation, which everybody's starving for it. So teaching people how to have self-compassion and how to validate themselves and show up for themselves instead of abandoning themselves, waiting for someone else to do it. It's such a joy. And then I love empowering them, because oftentimes when they come, they've been disempowered, like they have been victims. And so I love to empower them. I love to show them the choices they have. And I love to help them figure out, like, oh, I can actually do all of these things that are within my, like, this is I have the right to choose this. And if it's going to be turning out wrong, it'll be my mistake, and I'll figure out how to, learn from it, as opposed to do what everybody else always tells you to do, the right things to do, instead of just kind of connecting back to your heart and following, like relearning to trust your intuition. That's a nutshell of what I do.
I love that. And I know even in some of our conversations as well, you mentioned that, you bring in some of the practices of like diet and exercise. Like if you're, and
Hmm.
I love that you're saying here of connecting the body, because I myself came from that space of like logistics matter.
Yeah.
Everything is logical. And if you can't figure it out logical, why are feelings even involved? Well, your feelings are kind of telling you where things are at.
They
So
kind
it's
of
not
are.
surprise. Yeah. And I get it because, as a trauma survivor, even myself, like feelings are hard because there was no feelings of safety. And it
Yes.
sounds like you bring your clients to that place of safety. And what does that
Hmm.
mean for them at different times? So tell us a little bit more on the logistics side. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I'm struggling, maybe this trigger, that trigger came up, and they're stuck in the logistics side of the brain. Kind of walk us through, you don't have to share your entire process, but like share a little bit more about like how you would walk with a client through your methods and, what it is that they're struggling with.
Yeah. So it depends on how they like. I love using IFS, stands for internal family systems, because of all the different personas that we take on. It's like we're never the same person in every situation. Most people will know the manager part of you because you're out there functioning, but there's many other parts to you. And so when they come in with a trigger or something, usually it brings up a protector part. And so I love kind of investigating if they're, if they game for it. I like to regulate them first, the nervous system, to bring them out of fight and flight. Because if you're showing up with a protector, you're in fight and flight. So bringing them down to the kind of window of tolerance helps them then be more, have more capacity to see different aspects, different perspectives. Like, could it be possible that this is also happening, as opposed to just the whole black and white that usually shows up when we're in fight, flight, or freeze or fawn, all of those. And then I love to have them gain compassion for the protector. Like, usually people don't like their protectors. And so I love to guide them towards investigating, how is this protector actually for you? Like, this protector actually has really good intentions, may not be translating in the results, but actually this protector is probably showing up for you when nobody else did. And so then once they gain compassion for that protector part, all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not so mad at that guy anymore. It's usually lots of protectors take on male attributes. It's so cute, It's like, yep, I get that. It's like, it's so weird. It's like a he. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. So it's just fun to help them discover the different parts. And then once the protectors have been identified and they've been thanked and validated for their intentions, then they're usually willing to kind of step aside so we can see the vulnerable part behind it that they were trying to protect. And then that's where we can come in and just kind of be with the wounded part that never had anybody with them, that whole loneliness piece. So that's one way. Sometimes if that's not, if they're not quite there to You don't have to visualize it. Some people just get a sense of it. Some people full on see, describe them, and like they have colors and all the things, which is awesome, but it's not necessary. Like we could just get a sense or whatever. But if that's not quite happening, I also like to use emotional freedom tapping, and not in the common sense, but like the tapping is when you tap on various meridian points in your body that have shown to like directly send signals to the amygdala where the fight, flight, freeze, fawn is activated, and it's like threat, threat, threat. And when you tap that while you're talking about what's happening, it brings some of that intensity down. And over time, it's becoming more tolerable to be with that memory or emotion or whatever it is. And what helps is it helps activate the subconscious, because a lot of the ones that are like finding safety in logic, they will say, yeah, but I know that's not true. And then we start tapping and just thinking out loud. Like we're not having phrases or anything. We're just tapping and thinking out loud. And all of a sudden the subconscious comes up. It's like, oh yeah, I know that's not true, but this is what part of me believes still. And then we get to that tug of war place where we can realize, oh, that's why this has been so hard, because there's two parts, two beliefs competing. And so then we go in there and we start exploring, like, how can we make peace between those two? Can we hold both? Can we actually start being more open with all parts of us, and kind of work from there, accepting all parts of us? Because once you know, once you have acceptance in your system energetically, that also brings such a breath of fresh air. You're not fighting anymore, you're just accepting. And that's the launching pad for lots of change. Once you get to accept, not like, okay, this is just how it is, but like, yeah, okay, I do have some opposing things here, and I'm okay with that. And we can spend time here, and it's going to be okay. And then from there, we can usually get all sorts of insights, which is so unique to each person. It'd be hard to give you a specific example, but that's how I like to connect with them if the internal family systems isn't quite there. Um, yeah, that's kind of what's coming up to me as you're asking right now.
Okay. I like that. And speaking of the internal family system, so I had a client even recently, we were in conversation about that, and she was asking me, she was like, how there's different parts of you that come up? And I was like, so, that masculine and feminine aspect. And
Yeah.
I love that you're saying, like, even your clients are like, the protector is the male. And I think that's because, universal law states that's kind of more of what we know, right? It's the protector and the provider. And it sounds like to me you do some of the same framework that I do with my clients, where it's like, okay, if we're in that protector space, what is, even if it's provider, because that's strong too. That's more that masculine hold.
Yeah.
What if you were providing peace? Now we're moving to the feminine, right?
Hmm.
What if you were providing compassion? What if you were providing love, joy, all these other emotions that you can tap into that
Yeah.
give you more of that sense of, oh, like relief here. Like you
Yes.
can exhale. It's okay to exhale. Nobody's gonna hurt
Yeah.
you if you exhale, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know in previous conversations, that you and I had, you had mentioned that you had healed yourself from having asthma. Are you
Sure
okay to
did.
talk about that? Do you want to
I'd
share
love to talk about that.
your
Yes.
process through that? Okay. Tell us.
Yeah,
Take it away.
yeah. It all started about fifth or sixth grade. I started having asthma, and back then, nobody, it's just you had it. And you got an inhaler, maybe you tried some different drugs, but it wasn't like, oh, this could be connected to something, or let's figure out how to heal this. Nobody even thought it could be autoimmune connected or anything like that. It was just, you have it. And so fast forward when I'm a grown up and I'm starting to be really interested in healing with nutrition, I tried all the things. I literally tried all the things, and it was not helping. And so I was just kind of pausing the efforts. But then I got to a place where, so I had childhood complex trauma that kind of like I thought I had what should I say? Not healed from it, but like over it, I'm functioning, I'm out of it now. And then boom, I get hit with another complex trauma situation in my adult life. And there's a place where you just get to realize my body's telling me I'm not okay. And there were other things that started happening that just like it just felt all of the nutritional support, the detox support, all of the holistic things that I was doing, they were helping for sure. But I felt like, man, I'm putting in like 1,000% and I'm getting maybe 50% returns. And just for some reason, I just felt led to start exploring the emotional piece more. And because I had been in emotional healing before, but it was more like from logic. It was never the feeling piece. And I know you don't always have to feel everything to heal from it, but I just processed everything logically. And so the validation couldn't land in the emotional part where it needed to. So this is where my whole training as a trauma-informed life consultant started because I had such bad experiences with professionals that were supposed to help me. I got secondary trauma from them. So I thought, what, the best way to learn is to get trained because then I got to go through it myself and know it, understand it, because that was the logic piece was so strong. I needed to understand in order to buy into it. So that's where I started, and I realized I have to do some grief work. I have to do some serious grief work. And then, anyone who's ever looked for grief resources, all you get, I mean, all I found was how to grieve when somebody actually dies. They weren't talking a whole lot about grieving other things like loss of your identity, uh,
Mhm.
neglect, loss of things you never had that you should have had, um, like loss of connections and relationships and just things that never were. And I'm like, how come nobody tells you how to grieve that? Because you can't just do the common, death of a loved one process. And the 5 stages of grief weren't exactly helpful either. And so I decided, well, I'm just gonna start with reading every book I can get my hands on about grief. And I actually, because I do a lot of inner child work, I thought, well, what if I go and look at all the books that are children's books on grief? And then I do that to my little girl as opposed to just the adult
Mhm.
piece of me. And so that took me on a 1 year journey of trying all of the things. I tried somatic approaches. I tried journaling, or not tried, did. I did all of these things. I did symbolic things, so many things, music, art, just like every category that I could think of. I jumped in, did it, and I cried more in that year than in my whole, like at that time, it was like 40 years all added together. I had cried more in that 1 year. And then at the end of it, I kind of felt it came to an end. Uh, not I still have grieving things to do, but it just kind of felt okay, my like intense season is over. And I suddenly noticed like, wait, I forgot to use my inhaler before going to bed because I always have attacks at night. So I do a preventative thing, or did. Like I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up short of breath. And then I like, oh, I forgot to do it before working out and it didn't get triggered. And so I started paying attention. And before long, it was like 3 months and I hadn't used the inhaler one time. I'm like, is this for real? Is this for keeps? And then I just came across this that sometimes asthma can be a sign of unresolved grief. And I'm like, that's when it went like, aha, I have done some serious grieving work and I'm free of asthma. So that was my story of healing myself, not knowing this was an accidental discovery. But I love it. I love because it shows how much emotions are connected to the rest of us.
Yes, 100%. And of course, our lungs hold it, right? I
Mhm.
have, I love, and you and I do very similar work, right? Like we got the trauma pieces that we're trying to help people with whenever it comes to symptoms that they're facing and like being able to connect in that level. And I love that, being able to meet somebody else that does those same things where it's like, does this person understand?
Yeah, it's so
Like
fun.
you get it.
Yes.
And we know how important it is for nutrition. We know how important it is for exercise
Yeah.
because we understand the body, like the body
Mhm.
is important in those things, but if you're doing all the things and nothing's working, there's something going on a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those accidental journeys, it's kind of how I became trauma healer and
Yeah.
how I started my own stuff. It was like, well, I'm going to do this stuff to myself because nobody else has told me how to do it. So maybe I can get some more wisdom,
Yeah. Yeah.
and being a lifelong learner, like constantly looking through books and, different things like that. And I think there's so much out there that hasn't even been covered yet,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
people aren't even realizing. But our body responds to how we think and how we feel, and it shows up in symptoms. It's always given these cues.
Sure does.
And I love that you listened and you were
Mm.
able to say, hey, like, let's go through this journey. Let's see what
Mm-hmm.
this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. So, when it comes to your business, tell us how, I'm curious how you came up with the name of your business.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a combination of what was already taken.
That's okay.
And what I want, like I was trying so many different things because I wanted the domain name for my website, So I would just keep tweaking it because I wanted the like, holistic is taken. Every version, everything is taken that has to do with holistic, but I still wanted that concept that when people come to me, they know I'm not just zeroing on one thing. I actually keep going wherever I feel led to go with them. And that includes because I studied nutrition. That's one of the things I taught too. Studied nutrition in college, and I have like I've definitely had my own journey with the whole physical, like how to how to exercise in a way that's good for you and your hormones as opposed to killing yourself and or
Mhm.
wiping yourself out and all of those things. So I've got this wide range of experiences and I didn't want to tie it down to one thing. And so I wanted it to be a whole. I want it whole in that name and then pursuing because that's what it's about, right? You keep going after it. And so that's what I landed on in
I
terms of the
love
name.
it.
Yeah.
So many times, even in some of my marketing, I've said holistic, and I'm like, not the HOL kind, like the WHOLE kind, because you're a whole
It's so
thing.
true.
And it
Yes.
and it is, it so is, and I love that you talk about that with your clients, like, it is about a holistic approach, WHOLE, holistic, because
Yes.
it's you're doing all the things. You can do all the things physically, and if you're not tuning into what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and all of those things that play into it, and the stories that you've created from the trauma experiences that you've had,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're just spinning your wheels. You're a
Yeah.
hamster on a
It's
wheel.
incomplete. It's
Yeah.
like I would even say like it's not that all the things aren't helpful. It's just it's incomplete,
Yeah.
you know? And so
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it all of it matters.
Yeah, it does. It does so much. So when it comes to your process, let's go back a little bit. You talked about doing the mind body connection first, or if you're more connected to the emotion side, then let's connect you to the body. And if you're more connected to the body, let's connect you to the emotions. And I know you gave us some of your process in that as well. Talk to me a little bit more about people who are not connected in their body. So let's go with the physical aspect of things. How would you help somebody who's not connected get reconnected?
Yeah, I love this question because that used to be me. And to some extent, it's still me. Because, like, when people say, well, where do you feel that in your body? I'm like, oh, just like, I want to say some angry words because I'm like, I don't know. I just, you know. So I have all the compassion for people who can't tell and compassion for myself because what it tells me is my body needed to dissociate from feeling those things because it was a matter of survival, either emotionally or physically. And so that tells a story in itself. And so helping people just accept where their body and their connection or lack of is and have compassion for the story it's telling without forcing, without getting irritated, without trying to make things happen before they're happening is a really huge piece. It goes back to acceptance and just, you know what, body? If you're never going to tell me where it's sitting in your body, I still love you. I accept you. I know you're working for me. You're trying so hard to be on my team. And so that's really like making peace instead of feeling, I mean, I felt all sorts of judgment on me when I couldn't, even after 2 years of training, I still couldn't tell you where in my body I'm sensing something. Um, Ditching that judgment and saying, this is just where I'm at. And is like, what am I gonna do? Right? Make something
Yeah.
up. So just creating that acceptance and love and compassion for myself and my body and where it's at was really helpful. I did take myself on another guinea pig journey about that, where it had to do with nervous system regulation, where like a one-off exercise just didn't do anything for me. I'm like, yeah, now what? I'm supposed to feel wet. And like, I didn't even know what grounded felt like. I
Mhm.
literally didn't have the experience of it. And I was convinced, okay, this must just not be universal because it's clearly not working for me. I was this close to giving up on nervous system regulation. And then I had this experience where I was doing, it was a polyvagal nervous system regulation exercise that was actually, interestingly enough, body focused, not a visualization, not a breathing thing. I mean, that's kind of body too, but like it was physically,
Mhm.
the exercise is what it's called. And what you like, you use your neck and you use your eyes, the occipital, the ocular nerve is connected to the vagus back here. And so when you move with it, it suddenly almost does like a mini adjustment in the back of your cervical. And when I did it, all of a sudden all my stress pain, tension pain was gone, like after
Oh,
that exercise. I'm like,
wow.
wait a minute. Like, so I was kind of thinking, oh, this is like a physical therapy thing, right? Which
Except
I
not.
suppose I suppose it is, but also it's like it's more than that. What I noticed is after about 10 minutes, the tension was back. And I was like thinking, what the heck? And of course, always thinking, I was thinking, oh, maybe that's how long my nervous system felt it was safe to be safe. And then it needed to flip
Mhm.
back over to hypervigilance. And that's why the tension came back, because that's a thing. Neurosomatically, it like you're not just more tense emotionally, but your body aches and everything, you know, ramps up when you get back into fight, flight, and all of that. So I was thinking, okay, well, what would happen if I did this? Like a crazy all or nothing person that I was, I thought, what if I did it every 10 minutes? It just kept teaching my system, no, you can come back here. I didn't do every 10 minutes, but I did do for 2 months. I did do regulation breaks 7 times a day
Oh,
to
wow.
teach my body to say, hey, this isn't a one off. This isn't a spook. We have a safe place now. You can keep coming back to this. Let's create this rut here instead of stay over here in this rut. And then after 2 months, I started getting body sensations like the yawning, the swallowing because of saliva production that turned
Oh,
on the rest and digest system, and flush of warmth. And so all of a sudden I connected to body sensations I didn't know I had.
yeah.
So I like to tell the ones that have trouble with connecting to their bodies, I like to tell them that as well, because I'm not telling them you got to do it. I just say, hey, this is how I overcame it. You're welcome to try it. and then
Yeah.
and then let them decide when they're ready for it, because this can seem like, if you're not in the right headspace and you don't have the amount of time that it takes, it'll just be one more thing that'll stress you out. So I'm
Mhm.
always in favor of letting them gauge by their own intuition and gut level of like, yeah, now's the time, I'm going to do it now. But just
Yeah.
giving inspiration gives hope, and that's a piece of the healing.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this. I love this. So, and it's one of the things that I talk about with my clients. It takes practice.
Hmm.
And for so many people, they've tried so many things. They've
Yeah.
read the self-help books. We've done all the journal exercises. And I'm like, you
Yeah.
could never have enough journal exercises. I'm a journaler. Like, I'm somebody that
So
loves
much.
journaling.
Yes.
And some of my
Yes.
clients are like, God, this is a waste of my time. I'm like, promise you, it's a healing you didn't know you needed. And so what I tell people, I'm like, if you can give yourself 5 minutes, 5 minutes, peace and quiet. I mean, 5 minutes zoned in to answer one question,
Hmm.
it'll literally shift the rest of your day.
Yeah.
It'll transform everything, how you breathe, how you focus, the colors that you see, you start gravitating to those things. So I love this exercise. Do you remember this exercise? Can we do this together?
Yeah, we can do it together.
Okay,
So
let's do
what
this.
you do, you can put your hands behind your neck, like the occipital like part of your, and then
Up,
put your
up, right
elbow,
there on those back, like those
yeah, and then
muscles.
push your
Okay.
elbow back on
Oh,
both sides. And then, so the first, you're just going to just keep your face looking forward and look, like, see if you can look with your eyes at your elbow and just hang out there. And what you want to be looking for is like, are you noticing a yawn coming on? If not, that's okay. And then if after 30 seconds to a minute you don't notice anything, it's okay. Then you do the other side. Like same thing over to your left. And if you have shoulder issues, you can just do it with your arms down. It doesn't mean you can't do it. And then you come back forward. It is very hard to keep your face straight. I noticed I just moved
I know
over.
my face, my mouth kept going.
But like the beauty of this is like anything is working towards it. So you don't have to do it perfectly. You can also kind of hold your chin straight if you want. And then the next thing is now you turn your face over all the way as far as it'll go, and then your eyes go all the way over as far as they will go, and you mark something that you like. What's the farthest thing over that you can see with your right eye? You're probably looking to the left. So like mark it and just hold it there. And I encourage people breathing deeply while they're doing this and holding it for about 30 seconds. And then you slowly come forward. And then you do the same thing to the other side.
There was a
So
vertigo moment there. It was like, wait, it came too fast.
yeah, do it nice and slow and don't strain. Like you want to go as far as you can, but don't strain. Don't go as far. Like all of my all or nothing people, they will strain the first time they do this.
Oh, that's me. Calling myself out.
Yeah, so I could tell just for myself, I regulated before I came on the call, so I could tell I can already see really far over, more so than usual. So my
Yeah.
range of motion is already really good. And then you come back and then you check in your neck, check how tight it is to where it was before. And
I will
kind
tell
of,
you, doing this one, and when I looked left, because your left is, for those of you that don't know, and for those of you that do know, we're just gonna do a recap real quick. Your right is your masculine side, your left is your feminine side. So when I did that and I looked left, I immediately went right in tune with feminine. Took a deep breath.
wow.
There wasn't a yawn or anything, but I took a
Uh-huh.
deep breath and I was
You
like,
noticed a
oh,
different sign of like,
yeah.
uh-huh,
I was like,
that's
I'm
awesome.
connected to her. Like, hey, sis, hey, we're not living in masculine right now.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So what I
Cute.
actually forgot to do with you before we started is usually I like people to do an assessment so that they can tell the difference because sometimes they're not quite sure. Because I did the assessment before and after when I first did it, I'm like, oh, there is a difference. There's a noticeable difference. And so usually when people do it, I would say do the assessment first because it'll be more rewarding when you notice how much better it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love that. So getting connected to your body, right back on those things, mind,
Hmm.
body. When it comes to, and I will tell you this, like it brought me to that safety spot because that's your feminine side. So it was like, oh, we can be mothered, we can be
Hmm.
nurtured, we can calm
Hmm.
down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
You
window
know?
of tolerance of regulation. Totally. Those are some of the
Yeah.
qualities. Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And I also love that we do similar things and we have different practices.
Hmm.
Like this is, and I love being able to connect with people who there's a difference here, right? And in the way that we do our methods and things like that. So I love that. Thank
Yeah.
you for this
Oh, you're
exercise.
so welcome. Happy to share.
Um, yes. So tell us a little bit more. How can people find you? How can people connect with you? If you have a freebie that you want to offer, tell us how to get in touch with you. How do we continue doing this and working with you?
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking and giving me the opportunity. So the website I have is pursuingwholesomehealth.com. That's where all of my blog posts are. That's where you can find my scheduling page, more info on there about how I work. Um, Somewhere in the side, there's like Facebook and Instagram stuff to, connect to. But you can also have a Facebook page called Pursuing Wholesome Health as well. I also have a group called Pursuing Wholesome Health, a
Okay.
Facebook group that's free to join. Um, and there's more just like spirit, soul, body health posts in there, like almost daily, to inspire you. Like if you're just looking for a little bite-size motivation for the day, it'll like usually give you something to like, okay, I'm gonna do this today, or those kinds of
Okay.
things. And so you can message me on Messenger and Facebook, or you can grab the email on my website and connect with me. Freebies, I believe I gave you two, correct? For the,
Yes.
yeah.
So I see the freebie Grieving Well guide, which
Hmm.
we're going to post in the description. So if you guys want that, you'll be able to get
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
then also a regulation video.
Yeah, so this is another one because I ended up, because of my own journey with regulation, I ended up creating a 40 plus regulation video playlist that I created because I didn't want people on there to distract me. And so it's just like nature or something else, and usually some kind of calming, regulating background sound to it, and then I guide you through all, like there's a variety of ways to regulate, which when you're first starting, it's a really good idea to try like a buffet, try everything at least once, and
Yep.
then go back to the ones that you thought like, oh, I got the most return for it here, and then you can do those. So that would be one of the paid products that I have, but this one regulation exercise is a taste of that,
Okay.
and that they could
Awesome.
get for free.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for providing that. Thank you for
Yeah,
providing two. I love that. And they have options that they
absolutely.
can go through as well.
Yes.
Well, I enjoyed this today. We're definitely going to be having you back on as we do for, all of our
Yeah.
podcasters. Okay,
I'd love to
podcast
come back.
listeners. Yeah, because there's so many other things that as you and I get connected and, we get more into the work that we do and different things like that, I want to be able to support you. So you guys who are listening, burnout moms, if you've been struggling with grief, like identity is one of those biggest things, right? Like that's most of
Huge.
our burnout people. And
Yeah.
again, just the same with you, like grief is going through not just a death, not just a
Hmm.
loss. It's
Hmm.
also parts of yourself that
Yeah.
you no longer hold on to,
Yeah.
childhood that you no longer have that maybe you missed or you missed out on or
Yeah.
didn't get to experience, and I
Hmm.
think at 100% y'all go grab her guide because if 100% like there's no books out there that tell you these things. Sometimes it's just the experiences we have to walk through,
Hmm.
and
If
how
I
they
could say
also
one thing about the whole grieving journey that I went through, and like, I don't want to scare people off by saying, how much I cried, because sometimes that's what keeps people from
yes,
doing it.
yes, yes.
Science nerdy piece here is that when you measure, like you actually under the microscope, you analyze tears cried from grief as opposed
Yep.
to fun or irritation in the eye. There's toxins, guys. There's toxins in the tears that are cried from sadness and grief. So it's a way of your body of you getting rid of stuff in your body that you don't even know. So don't hold back. Let those tears come and
Yeah.
just give it a container. You don't have to cry. Like you could say, okay, I'm going to, whatever capacity you have. If it's 5 minutes, great. If it's a half hour, great. Just don't feel like now I have to do it all day, every day until it's gone. That's going to burn you out and overwhelm you. You can actually do it in bite-sized pieces, but
Yeah.
don't be afraid of crying.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid of crying. Dude, I can't tell you how many times it just like comes over like a wave and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? But it's so true. It is a somatic release. That's exactly
It
what it
is.
is.
Yeah.
It's an opening of your pathways. So
Hmm.
100% you guys go get that guide, get that regulation video, and let us know your thoughts on it. Go follow
Yeah. Yeah.
Cendrine, go work with her. Look, she's amazing at what she does. I'm super excited to have her on here, and we're gonna have her back for more fun information and more sciencey nerd things because I like that too. That we'll be able to connect with. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the flip side.